Hello and welcome to the podcast Eat Better Food Today. I'm your host, Ken Coonahan, and I'm excited to be sharing insights on why we believe that health and longevity begins with the food we eat. The goal of this podcast will be to inspire, educate, and enable folks to live a healthier life and do it affordably. My wife and I have been on this journey for over 10 years and continue to work on it every single day. Percent of the profits from this podcast we put towards child hunger with an initial focus on the poor suburb in America, East Cleveland, Ohio. As a reminder, please subscribe to this podcast. Be sure to visit my website, Eat Better Food Today, for links to the show, videos, and recipes and articles that our guests provide. On this episode, we're grateful to have Dan Freshwater. Dan has been a personal trainer for over 15 years. Dan has worked with people in special populations such as the blind, cerebral palsy, Friedreich's ataxia, pregnancy, and paralysis. He has also trained Ironmen, marathon runners, bodybuilders, soccer folks, volleyball folks, golf, and regular people like my wife and I. I've known Dan since 2012 when he became my personal trainer, and for my wife and I, my wife still sees him every week. I've kind of gone off on my own doing some other things. So in this episode, we'll explore Dan's thoughts on exercise, food, health, and longevity, and discuss what continues to inspire him. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
We typically, we've basically up to this point, we've explored food a lot on this podcast. So this will be an interesting and new discussion for our listeners. So my first question, though, does start out with food. It's something that I believe is a great start to your day. So I always ask what you had for breakfast this morning.
So this morning, let's see, what did I have? I had a protein shake, like a typical personal trainer, and plant-based. So mine's based on pea protein, and then I had some oatmeal with that. So it's kind of, I separate them, and I keep it very simple. So. Very basic.
Any coffee in the mix?
No coffee. I'm all water based. So I drank some water and got out the door. So
nice. So how about at home? What kind of exercise equipment will we find at your home?
So at my place, I have a freestanding bench that I can kind of roll around, so I can either have it out of the way or I can use it for all types of exercises with my dumbbells that I do have. I also have a heavy bag in my basement, in a speed bag, that I go down and do some cardio on that, and then kettlebells and bands. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it really, we could spend the whole time talking about everything we have at our house. So
nice. So you got enough to kind of get things done for you and your wife.
That's right. Yeah.
Does your daughter get involved at this young age?
She does. She actually, she's really into doing squats with me. She wants to show me how she does push-ups now. She's very into gymnastics, so she's kind of attempting to do some cartwheels and things like that. So she's really into it as well.
Nice. So as a personal trainer, like I kind of mentioned, you've worked with people with special needs, Ironman, marathon runners, and kind of, I'll just say, the average person. So is your approach the same for everybody? Is it different? Is it the same base and then you do things differently? Just curious.
It's always different. So like whoever walks in the door, you got to figure out who they are and kind of how their body operates. So there's so many things that go into it. So if you have somebody that is of special needs, you got to kind of do your homework on that one. So it just depends on what that is. So like we've talked about, I did one with Friedreich's ataxia, and that's a whole different avenue when it comes to a lot of the muscles in the body are uncoordinated in a sense, just to keep that very simple. So I had to go home and do a lot of homework on that one. I also trained somebody that was blind, in that I had to kind of learn what it's like to work with somebody whose senses are a little different than others. But then you go down the path of marathon runners and kind of fitness people that are just in for general fitness, that kind of stuff. You go in and you go, okay, there's so many factors when it comes to how does their body operate, how in shape are they today, What are they coming in with? Are they at base level or are they advanced? So yeah, there's so many factors that play into it, and you just kind of go, okay, where are we at today, and where do we need to go?
So somebody coming in, let's say a new exercise person, say, I don't know, 40s or 50s, comes in, haven't exercised in a while. What are some what are some, I guess, things that you would normally recommend that they start doing kind of right away?
Yeah, so if they come in, we kind of go through the basics of what is their if they had any injuries or anything like that, and we clear all that stuff out. You start kind of with the basics of what basics. Totally lost here. Hopefully we can edit this. Can I reset that?
Yeah.
Sorry. So like when somebody comes in, we start out, and I usually teach them about progression, to where, you enter the gym, and, you start out with your basics, you go through the body, you start to, if they're looking for general fitness, that's really what we're trying to do, is find out what is their goal. If it's general fitness, then, you go through kind of the basics exercises of squats, lunges, chest exercises, back exercises, kind of get the full body routine going. And then, we can go from there and then kind of work every muscle outside of that. But it's really progression, because after, 4 to 6 weeks, your body adapts to whatever we put it under. And at that point, we then have to move you up to another level. So that's kind of what it's all about, is starting out wherever you're at, and then, continue to progress it until you keep improving your body.
And would you start somebody out with weights or bands or machines or treadmill or what? I mean, you, especially where you teach, there's a lot of equipment there.
Yeah, totally. So, you start out, and that's kind of it. When they come in, you got to really find out, like, where are they at? I mean, I've had people that walk in and, they can't lift 3-pound dumbbells. So, if you're starting out at that level, then maybe we do start with bands. Maybe we start with those 3-pound dumbbells, or even isometrics. I mean, it could be as simple as, pressing against my hand. It depends on the level of the person. It's so hard to give kind of a, across the, blanket statement of, hey, this is where everybody would start. Every body is different. So, it's really see where they're at, progress it, and try to make that muscle stronger for them so that they operate at a higher level for them. That's really what it comes down to.
So from a timing standpoint, how long do you usually, like that person that's coming in for the first time, how long before you start to see progress? I think you mentioned 4 to 6 weeks. Is that
yeah? So I mean, you really start to see things in yourself. I think everybody that's worked out themselves, they'll see stuff in the first 3 weeks or so, right? Okay. So you start seeing progress at home, and that's usually what I tell people to start to pay attention to, is when you're at home and you're in your daily life, is it easier to pick up things, milk cartons, whatever it is, like, so all the basics at home, what's happening, how do you see your body changing, and then like our body will adapt to whatever you put it under in 4 to 6 weeks. Then we have to change the routine and then keep it going. So it's just you got to keep progressing.
So I mean, I guess outside of special needs, you've seen a lot of different types of clients. So which would you say is the toughest to work with?
Oh man, good one. So the toughest thing is the person that comes in with kind of an attitude of they already kind of know, or they kind of have a block in some kind of a way. So it's like anything. If somebody comes in and they're like, hey, I'm here, I want to use you as a tool basically to gain more information so that I can figure out how to do this the right way, and really get to work for myself. That's what you want, obviously, because you want them to take your information and then go use it in a positive way for themselves. But that's probably the hardest, is the resistance a little bit, but you can work through that. And then when it comes to individual clients and what they come in with, there really isn't a hard one. I mean, for me, luckily I was educated in very lots of different formats. I think I think more than challenging, I think sometimes it's more which one stimulates me the most. So like sometimes it's the special populations sometimes are a little bit more rewarding than someone that comes in just looking to improve fitness, even though you want to do that too. But sometimes making somebody go from not being able to get up to being able to get up is one of the most rewarding things that you can ever do. So it's simple things like that can be really, really great. So
nice, very nice. So I kind of got a list here of different things you do: weight loss, strength gain, balance, flexibility, range of motion, rehabilitation, and there's a word in here, hypertrophy. I don't know what that means. You give a trophy for having high energy? Or what is that?
No, it's hypertrophy to where that's basically like what the bodybuilders do. So it's
okay.
Growing muscle. So it's just making the muscles get larger, and that's I don't want to say that's everybody, but that's pretty much everybody when it comes to you come in, you want to make that muscle bigger or stronger, but that's geared more around actually the size of the muscle more so than the strength of the muscle. So it's slightly different in the sense of some people are power lifters, that's their goal. Other people are trying to get on a stage, and that's where the hypertrophy training sometimes in its extreme way, that's what hypertrophy training is. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we both go to the same gym for quite a while, you longer than me, but I had talked to somebody and went to DC a couple weeks ago. I've talked about this before, but there's a grocery store, talk about food, starting to put dietitians in their grocery stores so they can kind of help people buy healthier food. In the gym, my opinion is, because I see a lot of people in there that have no idea what they're doing, and they could hurt themselves. If you're under the age of 30, it takes a lot to hurt yourself, but you can still hurt yourself. I mean, I believe like when you go into a gym like the one that we go to, everybody should be, I'll put air quotes, required to get some additional, some initial personal training just to understand how to use the equipment, how to use the weight, the right form, etc. So what are your thoughts on having, because you have a lot of different gyms in this country that are kind of popping up everywhere, and people going in, and they seem to be being used quite a bit, but if you don't know how to use the equipment, kind of, you mentioned you kind of learn about your client first before you start them. So I guess what are your thoughts on that? It's kind of
I fully agree. So I from the beginning, when I first got my certification, I went into the gym, and kind of what you see is what I saw at the very start. And it's hard when you get all the information of how to help somebody, and then you go into a gym and you see everybody messing up. And you don't want to say it that way, but like they're coming into the gym thinking they know what they're doing. They're taking information that maybe they got in high school or they got from their friends or whatever, and you look at it, you're like, oh man, I can help them. And then you realize that as a professional, you're like, I can't literally help everybody because I only have so much time in my day.
right.
So it becomes difficult to look around the gym and go, okay, I see all those things, and then just kind of be like, okay, there's nothing I can do, so they have to ask for help. But I fully agree that the first thing they should do is come up and ask a professional how to do stuff, even if they've been doing it for 20 years. I've had people come up to me and be like, am I doing this right? And it's hard to be like, no, it's been 20 years of doing it wrong. I apologize. So let's fix it, and let's get you going on the right track. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody should have a professional first, and get themselves going in the right direction so that they can continue to progress themselves to being a better version of themselves. So
Yeah, because I think as you get older, I mean, you could hurt yourself. You may not even know it when you get started, but over time, you're probably could be doing things that are not beneficial to your body.
For sure. I mean, that's the thing that's kind of understated with a personal trainer is, we are kind of in control of the health of someone's body. So like when they come in, if we're going to do an overhead shoulder press, like if they're doing that on their own, who knows where their shoulder's at? The best thing they have is the mirror, and the mirror can be deceiving sometimes. So, they may be doing it completely wrong, which could lead to, some type of a a rotator cuff issue that lasts for the rest of their life. So, having a trainer and someone right there to tell you exactly how to do it, to protect yourself, to build the muscle, that helps you, going back to your word, have better longevity for your body.
Yeah, so for anybody listening to this episode, I would just encourage you to get a baseline with a personal trainer at a minimum before you start doing a lot of stuff in the gym that you may regret in the future. So so you're a nationally certified personal trainer. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so I was lucky. So I went to school at a community college, and when I was there, there happened to be a guy that was actually one of the 12 members of the National Council of Strength and Fitness, which is what I'm nationally certified through. And I had a night class with him, and every week he was like, we're gonna dive in and we're gonna learn, cellular level out, like how to work with a body, and it was basically kinesiology on steroids, to where we were learning, in great detail about how to move the body, but also how to protect the body. So he's like, I'm going to teach you everything about this, but at the same time, we're also going to be showing you how to train others. And it was a gift to be able to learn at that level, and like you were asking, national certified. That just means that I can train anybody anywhere. I'm covered to do so. So I'm just a professional. So yeah, there you go. I don't know. How else can I say that?
All good. So I want to get your opinion on kind of these 3 exercise items, and kind of, are they myths or reality? So the first one is stretch before you work out.
That's an interesting one. So it's a yes and a no. So the answer to that is actually active stretch. So you want to get yourself warmed up in a way, and it's really warming up the muscles that you're going to utilize. So if you're a runner, you're stretching your hamstrings, your quads, your glutes, all those things, but you're doing it in a way that's an active stretch to get yourself ready to do that movement. You're not doing the static holds yet because your body's just not ready to do so. So yeah, that's really the answer to that.
Okay. Only heavy weights build muscle.
That's not true either. It's been proven that you can do anything from 5 to 30 reps, and as long as you take those weights to failure. And when I say failure, I don't want to say that to where someone just goes and just crushes it. I want them to be like, okay, technique failure. So make sure that you're paying attention, that your technique is good, and then taking that to failure. And once you realize that muscle is done, that is the completion of your set. But in doing so, that will grow the muscle. So yeah, it's more about failure than it is about weight.
Okay. And how about walking 10 minutes per day is enough to stay fit?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Walking 10 minutes a day is enough to stay fit?
Well, it's all relative, right? So obviously there's no set number. It's all about where you are today. So when you walk in, if you can only do 2 minutes, right, then 3 minutes is going to be awesome for you. And you start progressing that all the way up. Once you get to 10 minutes, well, you're not going to stop there. So the answer to that's obviously no. Is it enough to keep you at a maintenance level? To some level, yeah, it's better than nothing. But I think we all strive to be a little bit better than yesterday. So doing a little bit more than that would be good. Get yourself up to 20, 30 minutes. But if all you have during the course of your day is 10 minutes, it's literally better than nothing. So that's good.
Okay. This all seems to be, so I had a farmer on a couple weeks ago. I've had chefs on, doctors, but it all seems you're kind of saying the same thing. Even on the exercise piece, you need to understand your client to understand where they're at and where they need to be. It's not there is not a one size fits all, I guess, is kind of in summary, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm going to read a couple other data points here. There's a Dr. Peter Ataxia. Do you know if you've heard of him? So he's written some books on basically doing more exercise, and he comes up with the fact that if you can exercise 90 minutes per week, you decrease your risk from dying from all causes by 14%. So he's done some research on this and kind of put this out in a book that he wrote. He also did a study, or quoted a study, that they studied 4,500 people over the age of 50 for 10 years and found those that had a lower muscle mass had a 50% higher mortality rate. So again, people not working out, whether it be at the gym or wherever. And then the other thing that he talked about is 1 in 3 adults over 60 falls because they don't have good balance. And when you're over age 60 and you fall, 25% of those people pass away the next year. Because so it's just he's just trying to bring up points about the importance, especially when you're over the age of 50, to make sure you're doing some type of exercise on a regular basis. And then I'm going to ask you a question here in a second, but there's the blue zones. Have you heard of the blue zones at all? So it's basically a study that was done, and they found 5 locations worldwide where a lot of people live over the age of 100, and then they studied those people, and one of the things, in addition to food and good sleep, was they get regular exercise every day. So I mean, some of them are sheep farmers, so they got to climb up hills, tend the sheep, and they're doing that in their 80s and 90s and even up to 100, etc. So it's just kind of all these points are reinforcing, kind of, at least in my mind, the importance of exercising. So the question is, with all this information out there, that people are publishing and talking about on podcasts and wherever else they may be listening to stuff, why aren't more people exercising?
Age-old question. You're putting that one on me. Yeah, it's tough. That's a tough question, honestly, because I've always kind of said to where, like, we're in the gym and we're in one small area, and you look at it and it's like, where is everybody? Because the gym should be packed.
Yeah.
I mean, if every house, you think about how many people are retired or how many people are free during the course of the middle of the day, we shouldn't be able to hold them in our gym. It should be to capacity and plus. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And I think, some people are, I don't know what it is, if it's sports when they're in school, or maybe it's their parents' influence or their friends' influence or whoever it is, set them on the track to wanting to be more active or what. But, it seems like a lot of people just, they haven't, I don't know what the answer to that is, actually. I'm sorry, I don't know where to go with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think people, well, at least from my perspective, you need some motivation, a reason. In other words, let's say over the age of 50, you've got kids,
right? You're
going to have grandkids. You want to be able to play with your grandkids without throwing out your back or not being able to play catch with them or basketball or run, whatever they like to do. So it's kind of, I mean, that's one purpose. I mean, it could be you want to serve people in the community, and if you're not able to get up and around or lift a box, you're not going to be, I mean, I mean, that's some of the things that I think about anyways.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you were talking about the aging population, like, I always say this to people is, when you're with me, like, we're gonna do balance, because if you're, like you were saying, over the age of 50 or whatever, like, you don't want to fall and break your arm or whatever it is, and then realize on the ground, I need to work on my balance. It's already past that point. So work on it now, so that those things don't happen. So, you got to kind of get yourself into the mindset of working out, to be like, I have to be active, I have to keep moving, because this is the only body that I got, and if I don't take care of it, then it's gonna fall apart. So
true. So transitioning a little bit to children here. So we're trying to build this new center in East Cleveland, focused on children and families, and then child obesity's up. So there's now almost 15 million kids that are obese. a lot of them are getting type 2 diabetes, so a chronic condition that's on the rise in children. And research shows for younger people that exercise increases your brain health. So what are your thoughts on exercise for kids? I don't know if you work with any kids, but
So when I first started, it was probably high school kids, right? So I worked with them a little bit, and it was great because it was an off-season training. So I got to work with a lot. But this is something that I've always thought about, to where, like, there should be, like you were kind of saying at the beginning, actually, personal trainers should work with everybody in the gym, and it kind of applies the same way to schools. I think there should be a personal trainer in every school, and I think there should be classes that they teach to where, you learn about your body from an early age, and you learn it from somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. So, like, when we were in school, it was a gym teacher who was just kind of, I don't know, guessing maybe, or he didn't know. And he knew you needed to move, but he didn't really know how. So now we have the ability to put people that actually know fitness in those facilities or in those schools, and be able to, show the kids, how do you sit down? How do you stand up? I mean, the most basic things in life, most people don't even know how to do. I'm showing people at 70 years old how to stand up for the first time, the right way. So they're using the proper muscles, or they're lifting something off the floor, and they're supporting their back so that it doesn't go out later. So, if I could be in a school and I can be teaching, groups and groups of kids how to, pick things up, or just move their body, or even get in their mind and say, hey, you need to be this active, then maybe that'll be an influence for them to continue to do so. But then, that's going to improve their entire life. That's going to improve sports. That's going to improve, every aspect moving forward, and how they eat. And even they can take it home and share it with their family. So, I mean, I think there's no negative when it comes to getting into school and actually starting from the beginning.
Couldn't agree more with that. So exercise, there's different, as I mentioned before we started, I listen to a lot of different podcasts. I read a lot of books too, and there's exercise is important, healthy food is important, sleep is important, and then kind of making sure you don't have a lot of stress. So that I had a wellness expert on a couple of weeks ago too. So either way, food is integral to health and longevity, and ingredients matter. So what's your philosophy on the food side of things?
Food side of things is really, I mean, it's so hard, because the thing is obviously you need to get the right nutrients. You got to get protein in. A lot of people say, you got to get high protein, and it's true. But I'm always afraid to just say have high protein, because I don't want people to go out and, be eating 300-400 grams. So it's so easy to do that, because you get online and you see all kinds of things. But, when it comes to the diet, you definitely got to have a balanced diet. But like I said, everybody's different. So there's so many factors that go into it when it comes to, some people, they struggle to get up in the morning and eat something and not feel sick, or other people, they have to eat throughout the day, every 2 to 3 hours. And if they don't, then they feel like they're going to pass out. So, it's, again, I mean, I apply food the same way that I do exercise. It's literally a body to body, change, to where it's like, okay, get to know you, and definitely fuel yourself with, the proper protein and nutrients that you need, so that you can get through your workouts, get through your day. Everybody's day is different. If you're a person that you work all night, you sleep all day, well, you're going to be different than me, because I get up at 6 o'clock. So when you put that nutrient in is different than me. So there's so many factors that go into it, but you definitely just have to figure out, balance wise, how it works for you, so that your day can be optimized.
So how do you do the discovery on the food side? On the exercise side, you do discovery. You've got questions. You've kind of got a process you go through to kind of figure out where to start with each individual. How would you do that on the food side, I guess?
Yeah, I think something, just stick to the basics at the beginning, right? So I have a lot of people that come in and unfortunately in our country, a lot of diets are not so good. So I always say start with breakfast, and make it a great breakfast for you, to where it's like, okay, kind of like what I did, have some type of a protein. Maybe it's a supplement like I did, or maybe it's eggs or something, and then have a carb, be balanced. But then, within the next couple hours, like, pay attention. How did that make you feel? How are you doing with it? Is it giving you more energy? Is it bringing you down? And then move on to the next meal, and continue to, balance that out and see how your body's responding. So if you notice something, write it down, pay attention to it, adjust to it. The next day, you get to do it again. So, if you continue to inch your way along, you have all the time in the world to figure this thing out. So after a while, you'll be like, what, that's what's good for me. And that's the problem out there right now, is there's a lot of information saying it's a one-size-fit-all, and it's just not. It's body to body. So definitely become the professional of yourself, and you'll figure it out.
Absolutely. So what about, everybody's an individual, but there's a lot of online debate, meat versus vegetables. So you've got vegans, vegetarians, carnivores. There's this whole online, and people, it's almost like politics. People are getting mad about their point of view on the diet side. So any thoughts just on that as well?
I don't have any huge thoughts on it, other than, I keep it simple in the sense of, keep it balanced. I don't know enough when it comes to whether it should be plant-based or meat-based, or a mix, or whatever. I think we've learned some things about red meat and some other proteins that may not be 100% ideal, but all the time anyway. But again, if that's what works best for your body, and you're going all plant-based, and you're like, man, I feel alive, maybe for the first time, that's awesome. Do that. And if you're still eating your chicken, and you're going along that way and the same thing, then that's it for you. But I mean, it's kind of the same thing, to where I think we're still kind of figuring that out on which way should we go. I think depending on the person also, other factors, health factors will play into that changes that whole thing I just said. But the average person that is healthy, I think we're still trying to figure out what the best path there is, but usually a good balance is safe. So
yeah, it's amazing how little, when you think about the population of the world, billions of people, how little research has been done on this topic. I mean,
totally.
It's
the most important thing in our life is food.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's one of the least things we know about.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the new craze that's out there with weight loss drugs?
Oh, yeah. So
take a pill, take a shot, solve all your weight problems.
Yeah. I mean, all these things kind of come along every so often, right? So, the recent one is a drug that'll do it, and there's been slimming belts, and there's been all these other things that have come along the way, that this is going to be the new thing. And growing up, it was the surgery for your stomach. And I'm not saying any of them don't work, because obviously they do for certain populations and people that need to get there fast, maybe. But at the end of the day, you still have to do the work. So if you take a shot, and that gets you to lose fat, that's great. That still gives you another starting point. So you're still in a space where you need to build muscle, and keep the muscle. And I don't know the exact things on that. I've heard things about that you lose some muscle when you take those shots also, because it's not specific to only taking out your fat. But whether that's true or not, again, I don't know. But I do know that you need to continue to keep the muscle on, and keep your bones strong, preventing other things later in life. So although those things are the easy way to get there, we don't really know what the long-term effects are on those types of procedures. So
yeah, I think even if you do, it's not it's not a solution. It can be part of a solution, but
That's right.
that can be a piece, and then you still need to eat the right foods, do the right exercise, get the right sleep. It's just
exactly, and that's the whole thing is, we're always looking for an easy way, and that's kind of the American way, unfortunately. But working out isn't as hard as people make it out to be. Like, it doesn't have to be grueling, and unfortunately, I think over time it's been, oh, you have to go and just kill yourself, and that's not actually the case. I mean, if you go to the gym and you walk on a treadmill and you go and lift some pretty basic weights, you're setting up a decent foundation to just stay healthy in a general sense. And so many people think that this is impossible for me, and I think we have to change that to where people are like, okay, if I start here today and I set up a goal and a destination, I can get there. And if you have that mindset kind of going along, I think there could be a big movement towards doing it naturally. So I think that's where we need to go. But I also understand the immediate, hey, give me that so I can lose my weight.
So what would you say is your proudest accomplishment so far working? You've had a lot of clients, a lot of years doing this.
It's a tough one. There's been a lot. So, the best thing that ever happened to me as a trainer that kind of gave me my why was, I trained a girl that came in, she was 20, and, she had Friedreich's Ataxia, and she was in a wheelchair. And
what is that, first of all?
So it's a condition to where, in a general sense, just to keep it simple, it's not simple at all, but every muscle in her entire body was uncoordinated. So, I can't stress that enough. It's every muscle all the way through her spine was uncoordinated. And when you think uncoordinated, think of your left hand, if you're a right-hander, and think about how that was when you were young, and think about that being every single muscle in your body, to where she had to coordinate her muscles in her spine so that she could sit up. She found out about this when she was younger, I believe when she was around 12 or so, and then she progressively got worse through high school, and then by college she was in a wheelchair. She came up to me and she said, I have a goal, and she was very, very determined, and she was like, my goal is to walk across the stage and accept my certificate when I graduate. And I was like, yeah, I'm on it, we can do this. And she said what she had, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go home, I gotta study. So I did. I went home and I got into books. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I dove in, and I was like, okay, what do I do? Because you take somebody who's uncoordinated in their entire body, you have to coordinate their spine, you have to coordinate their arms, you have to coordinate all the way through just to get them to do anything. So your traditional just putting them onto a bench press and saying, here, lift this, wasn't a thing that could really happen. So for me, it was, all right, how am I going to do this? So it was figuring it out. I took her into another gym, actually, that we could move her wheelchair around easier. We met a few times a week, 2-3 times a week, and we went at it. And it was the most unconventional training I've ever done, to get her to grow muscle. But she was a trooper, and she was the best spirited person I think I've ever worked with, and her goal was on her face and in her energy every day. And so we got to a couple months out, and we had been practicing getting up out of the wheelchair and taking some steps, and I brought her brother in, and he helped me, and she just held our arms, and we began that process. And then the day of her graduation, she had us on each side of her, and she walked across the stage and received her certificate. And then that was a lot for her. Obviously she achieved her goal. It took us 2 years to do it. She accomplished her goal, and she unfortunately passed away soon after. But in those 2 years, it kind of gave me my why of why I do this, and why I show up and help people, because she was amazing. She was an amazing spirit, and the fact that she had a goal and she was not really willing to not achieve it, and then she did. It was pretty inspiring. So to be able to help somebody like that and to get them to that goal, again, that gave me my why. So that's why I love what I do, and that's why I continue to try to help people. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for that story.
Yeah.
So, can't remember if we talked about, it's been a little while, but a recipe to discuss. So something that people can easily make with a few ingredients, family of 4, inexpensive.
All right, so
Let's pull out newspapers.
that's right.
For those who
Oh wait,
listening.
no, hang on. So me being the personal trainer that I am, I brought overnight oats because for me, this is, a lot of people, they love to, come up with recipes. So people always ask me, what can I make? What can I do? And I'm such a counting my calories guy. And so many people are like that. Some people are not like that. And it's okay if you're not crazy like me. But what's nice about doing stuff like this is, I'm on the go. So overnight oats are something that you can kind of set yourself up for the night before, if you've never done this before. For me, I wrote kind of about what I do, what my wife does, kind of things that I've read others do. So what I brought is, it's a half cup of dairy or almond milk or whatever your milk that you want to choose. And then you'd put in, your half cup of what I use is old-fashioned rolled oats. Then you can put in, yogurt, Greek yogurt or non-dairy. Mine, I put in chia seeds, banana, half a banana actually. But then, you add all those things together, stir it up, put it in the refrigerator for the night. And then the next day you can kind of, see what it's like and then add whatever you want. So, it might be nut butters, fruit, protein powder if you want to add some protein in there, granola, spices, vanilla extract, stuff like that. But you put that together, and again, it's a grab and go. So if you're on the go, but you want to have something more than just, hey, I'm grabbing the Pop-Tarts, that's a great way to go. So that's what I brought for us today. So
Nice. Thank you. That's the most unique recipe we've had so far. So
I knew that would be the case.
So that's good. So any final thoughts you want to leave the listeners with before I wrap things up here?
Just that, when it comes to, when you go to the gym, realize that, like kind of what Ken was saying is, it's a full body thing. So there's a lot that goes into this, whether it's, you want to have your diet right, you want to go in and you want to have a good exercise routine, but the thing that a lot of people don't focus enough on is the recovery side. A lot of people go in and they're thinking all about the gym and the exercises they do and the breakdown and making sure that they maximize all their lifts, getting their PRs and whatever else they're focused on. But when it's growing muscle and it's growing your body to be better than yesterday, when you leave the gym, it's more important than when you're in the gym. Kind of what you're talking about with stress and sleep and, getting the proper nutrients, drinking enough water, all these things, they go into it. I tell so many people, if you go into the gym, you work out and, you're not able to work out for a week well, you're doing too much. So pull it back a little bit, you know, and you want, you know, 1, 2, 3 days of rest in between, but you want to be able to do that a second time or even a third time that week so that you can continue to progress. If you are pushing it a little bit too hard, then what you're doing is basically working towards an injury, and that's what we're trying to prevent here. And you know, if you add in some of those, you know, recovery things like, you know, massage or all the different therapies that you can do, then that's even better. So what you're really trying to do is get yourself back to the gym to continue to improve yourself. So if you do that, then you'll be on your way.
Great. Where can, if people want to get information on you or kind of what you just talked about, where can they go to find you or additional information, I guess?
Gosh, I don't have that answer, to be honest with you.
I mean, you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, or you have I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty much at One-to-One Fitness. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, there's no real place to get me.
Okay, so
Sorry.
that's okay. We'll put the One-to-One Fitness
yeah,
on the.
they can email me. That's about it.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so it kind of to close things out here, in an effort to get more folks to eat healthy in season. I've been sharing this the last couple of weeks, but be sharing information on fruits and vegetables. I know protein's important too, but so we have a link that we're going to continue to post on the website and on the podcast. It allows you to search for in-season fruits and vegetables by state and by month. So currently in the Midwest, this is for late August, early September, there's over 70 in-season items that you can purchase at a grocery store, farmer's market, or wherever you buy your produce. So right now, things like, and I'm just gonna name a few here: apples, arugula, basil, beets, Brussels sprouts, cantaloupe, carrots, cucumbers, corn, green beans, garlic, kale, mushrooms, onions, peppers, pumpkins, spinach, squash, tomatoes. So that's about, I don't know, 12 or 15 items. So those are all fresh, in-season things you should be able to get that haven't traveled far, that are local to the area that you live in. And this is for Ohio that I specifically mentioned here. So again, you can go to that website, it'll be posted, and it'll kind of, if you live in California or Florida or someplace else, it'll kind of tell you what's in season wherever you're at. So Dan, thanks again for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Much appreciated. Please follow us every week where you listen to podcasts, leave comments, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.